morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate AI developments essential, important, or optional. You can follow along. The articles are at gaiinsights.com/articles. And please let us know what you think and your opinions on the trends and new developments that we're discussing. Okay, today I have John, Ankaj, and myself from our regular crew, and a wonderful guest, Nina Arugio, who is responsible for AI adoption at ARAS. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Great. Let's start with the first article, Ankaj.
So thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today comes from Interbeat, and it is titled Microsoft Built 5-4 Reasoning Vision 15 Billion Parameters Model to Know When to Think and When Thinking is a Waste of Time.
Microsoft has been on a path or on a very, very focused strategy to prove to the world that small models is the right place to be, especially on premise, and that's another announcement in the same vein. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I gave this an important for two reasons, really. First, it's Microsoft, and they're certainly not the market leader, but they have the best distribution and so forth. And this notion of adaptive reasoning, I think, is pretty powerful. So what is adaptive reasoning? It's basically a process by which the model decides when it needs to think a lot and just think a little. And this model, this PHI model that they put out here, is multimodal, so it works with images and texts, and it does that very efficiently. It performs well on, the analytic tasks, math and science and so forth. And it is an open weight model. So again, partially open. And then, I do think that this notion of adaptive reasoning is going to be central. Whether the center of gravity is a small model, a medium-sized model, or a very large model, I don't know. I think it'll depend on the domain. But I guess it's an important. I know it's a product announcement, but it's highly performative. You can use it now. It's open weights, and Microsoft's going to just keep churning away at this thing. They may not get it right the first time, the 12th time, but they'll get it right the 50th time.
Yeah, that's their trajectory usually.
Yeah. So I gave it an important.
All right. What did you think, Nina?
I gave it an important as well. I thought that what was missing was just a little bit of robust validation in real world conditions. So I think that what would bridge this gap, for example, is just setting up a human in the loop. But so when, in that case, when the model is unsure, then it defers to human judgment. I mean, over time, that builds trust and reliability in general. And I think that sometimes when some leaders read an article like this, they think, oh, yeah, this will happen overnight. And in fact, it doesn't mean removing humans overnight. It just means that gradually, right, the automation, it just needs more steps and reliable increases towards, full use.
Okay. Thank you, Nina. What did you think, Akash?
That was important as well, Luda. I think they have done two different things here. One is that they mentioned that they have curated the data a lot. So that's responsible for the good performance. And then they also talk about how they have trained it on reasoning and non-reasoning data as well. So 20% reasoning traces, they have shared it with the model, 80% non-reasoning data as well. So that has helped in the performance as well. But I think coming from Microsoft, it's in the small model area, so important development.
Yeah, I was also important because the results that they achieved in the model training are quite dramatic. From like standard training, 7 million steps about the normal, latest training, 400,000, and it's currently doing much better, right? So this is a very interesting innovation. So, okay, important it is. Let's proceed.
Hey, the next one comes from Black Forest Labs, and it is titled Self-Supervised Flow Matching for Scalable Multimodal Synthesis.
Yeah, this is quite a bit to process here. Ankash, if you could please tell us what this is about and why what's your rating, why it might be important.
Sure, do that. So basically, Black Forest Lab is introducing a new training method here called self-flow. The objective is to make generative models learn stronger internal understanding when they learn to generate these images, video, and audio. So basically, different training methods use an outside feature model to tell the generator what matters when they are generating these images, video, and audio. But what they are doing here is they are introducing some noise in the system, which makes it difficult for the model to understand the entire thing. And the model has to generate first input that part which has more noise because it couldn't get it from the direct outside teacher. So when it's forced to do that inference and then generate that part as well, Black Forest claims that this is a more efficient method to train these multimodal models, and they say that it works across multiple modalities. So images, video, audio, it works across all of those. So in a sense, they have trained a smaller model through this method, flux to backbone, which they call it. Uh, so it's a interesting development. We are still to see the model performance basis this training method and the benchmarks in terms of how good this is or how much it reduces the training cost as well. So for an AI leader who is still struggling with basic adoption of these tools, I would say an optional read.
An optional read from Ankash. Nina, what did you think?
I was between optional and also important. I think I didn't want to underemphasize the role that reducing the reliance on manual labeling and what that means. I thought that it was such a cool way to move towards something that's a little bit more helpful. It helps scale proprietary data, especially in large companies. So that's why I was wavering a little bit. But I don't think that the article itself does anything for the enterprise leader. So if I were to rate, it would be optional, but it's an important concept for sure.
John, what were your thoughts? You're on mute.
I could live with optional, but I had this more on important. I think this notion of self-supervised flow is kind of an interesting idea, right? That you integrate the learning mechanism with the generative framework. So I don't know. I agree. It's not that actionable. It's a a new domain. So I'd be comfortable with optional, but I was in between.
Yeah, this is an AI leader cannot do much with it, just for awareness purposes. Okay, so let's do optional and proceed to the next one.
The next one comes from AWS, and it is a case study about how Rico built a scalable, intelligent document processing solution on AWS.
Yeah, a use case, another one, but an implementation at scale. What did you think about this, Nina?
I will start by saying that Rico is actually, for those that don't know, is a global technology company. So in this case, Rico built a document processing platform using Bedrock, and they basically transformed manual and client-specific AI builds into a very usable, scalable solution according to their, of course, parameters and all. But the result is onboarding new customers, they went from weeks to days. And then they also reduced the engineering effort by over 90%. So very promising numbers. They automated complex documentation workflows, and that's sort of like at the crux of this. They used a combination of OCR, to extract text from documents and images. So the article used healthcare as their key example, which we know is just fraught with, especially with their claims and medical records. They also reference other regulator sectors like insurance, where compliance and especially accuracy are super critical. So I think in practical terms, Rico moved from build a new solution for each customer to build a standardized solution that then can go from that to let's build another variation for customer B, and that just expedites things a little bit. I would have loved to see, given the length of the document, at least some piece dedicated to enablement. Really, the people. It takes mindset shifts and training, and from pilots to really scale. I did think it was an important article.
Important from Nina. Ankash, if you can scroll to like close to the end before the best practices, there is a table of the key performance indicators and before and after. That's quite impressive in terms of the result they have achieved. So 90% on reduction in onboarding time, like Nina mentioned. The in engineering hours reduction, processing capacity, it's amazing. What did you think, John?
I had it as important as well, but you're kind of talking me up into essential here. It is I think the reason I didn't give it essential in the first round is it reads very much like a commercial for the both of them, both for Rico and for Amazon. You know what I mean? So it seemed. Anyway, if it weren't so salesy, I guess I would. If it had more of a kind of a managerial point of view, not just a sales brochure kind of point of view, I would give it an essential. But so I'm on the fence.
Yeah, I was more on the essential. I agree with you. It's a little salesy, but the best practices that come after this table also have talk about the various things they've done. It's not. I would say it's nothing deeply innovative here. We've seen, and they're using tools that have been in existence for a while. Amazon just put them together into a package, really. So from that perspective, it might not be. But in terms of their impact, it's quite dramatic. Ankash, you have a deciding vote here.
I was essential on this one, Luda. I think any case study which showcases the kind of impact that this one has created needs to be essential, needs to be read by an AI leader, which can show them. So the stuff that they are doing is being done across all the organizations, right? So very simple use case. They have done it really effectively. It can be adopted using any tools from any of the vendors in a really easy manner. And this is just to get the budget for an AI leader that, okay, these are the outcomes that Rico can get. Why can't we do this? So for that reason, I think essential.
All right, we're going essential on this one. Use cases, important, simple case, but this is the document processing, especially in the healthcare restricted domain, is with these type of results is essential. Okay, essential read. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one is a big one. This one comes from OpenAI, and they have introduced GPT 5.4.
Yeah, a sweeping release from OpenAI across codecs, APIs, context window, you name it, it's in there. What did you think, John?
Yeah, definitely essential. Leading model coming out with their, with a brand new model, very performative, fantastic, incremental movement on pretty much every measure. Our AI leader needs to understand, what this new release is and, what it means for them. So no question, essential.
Okay, Ankash?
Essential for me as well, Luda. I think it has everything to give competition to the Claude set of models that we are seeing, which are top of the game in most effective knowledge work, right? And they have also introduced Excel for ChatGPT or ChatGPT for Excel as well in this announcement, which is another major thing. So they are directly competing with Claude for Excel now. They have similar set of plugins or connectors with financial databases that they have introduced here. So I think for all those reasons, an essential read.
And what do you think? How are they competing against Claude? Because I see more and more people actually shifting to Anthropic, OpenAI. So, what was your take? What was the most impressive here in your judgment? Ankash.
So, Luda, there are a few things. I think one is it feels more human if we compare it to 5.3 or 5.2 earlier as well. So it is giving very balanced responses. The tone is very human-like, which was somewhat missing in 5.3, I would say. And then it's able to do tasks effectively when you compare it to Opus 4.6 as well. So I would say it's on the same level as Opus 4.6 in terms of doing tasks on that knowledge work. Uh, it has another good sort of feature that they have added, not feature, but how they have trained this model to work is that so the computer use feature it used earlier, it used to consume a lot of tokens. Now they have trained it in a way that it consumes two-thirds less tokens on certain set of tasks. So that's a huge improvement in terms of token usage and then cost as well. And they have really improved the capability to generate websites, to generate the future, the front-end frameworks for websites, for apps, etc. So lots of great small additions, lots of great incremental improvements, which make it an essential read for any AI leader.
Okay, thank you, Nina. You have a deciding vote this time. What do you think?
No, I do agree. I did rate it as essential. I did find that the per token cost is a little high, but I will mention something here that it may come across as being a small thing, but in my experience, especially with CMOs, CIOs that are jet setters and they really need to sometimes spin up a very quick presentation, from one place to the other, this version still cannot create a PowerPoint slide presentation from a template, a branded template from their companies, even though Notebook LM can. So that's what I'm using here, as a comparison, but nothing that will, kill them. They typically have their own decks and they can, duplicate and things like that. Again, very small, but in the overall, it could have been really, really nice to be able to upload a branded template and be able to just go on my way.
But
Yeah.
in general, it reads like, okay, here's the features on Claude, right? And
Yeah.
like check. They just put it in, right, to compete on the feature points. That's why.
Yeah, I think the Claude success. I mean, the only thing it's really interesting. The thing is slowing Claude down is the designation by the Trump administration that they're a threat to the national supply chain, which is the first time that designation has ever been used to any American company. And what that means is that it not only can the Department of War not use them, but anyone in the supply chains of the Department of War cannot use it, which is, as you can imagine, quite substantial when you radiate out from any given defense contract. There are many organizations involved. So I think that OpenAI just simply looked at all the things that were working great, and the market clearly wants that Claude and OpenClaw are delivering, and did their best to run after that, which I think is smart strategy.
But the usage of Claude after this announcement doubled. So it's interesting that people are putting their pocketbooks
it doubled on the App Store.
Right.
Remember, that's not where they were strong. They were strong.
No. Right, that's true. But people are in support. That's my point.
They were deep in the military-industrial complex before. Like they were part of the planning for the first Iran bombing.
Yeah, that's true.
And they've been helping Israel a lot. So I think that anyway, I think this is a more substantial hit to them because I think they were really, I think they were really sprinting around the track, and now we get a lot of mud on the track.
Well, we'll have to see, but this is a pretty powerful release from OpenAI. Okay, essential it is.
Totally.
All right, let's proceed to the next one.
Okay, the next one comes from Databricks, and it is about Carl, their knowledge agents via reinforcement learning.
Yeah, a pretty technical paper, but has a lot.
Nina, we give the guest raters all the easy stuff, 70-page technical paper.
But but it
You
had,
did it over there. It's like, who wants to read this? Not me.
but Nina
Yeah.
can do it, and we
Oh
can
dear.
help. So it has some very interesting innovations in there.
Yeah,
Several
it
of
really
them.
does. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nina, what did you think?
I did rate this as an essential. So for those here that haven't looked at the article yet, it's Carl with a K, KARL. So it stands for Knowledge Agents Through Reinforcement Learning, and it's a Databricks paper, and they introduce agents. That literally they train to reason over internal documents. Anyone working with executives right now, large or even medium-sized companies, know that that's a huge pain point, for them to just manage all of this. And so it's basically a claim, one of the good old, cheaper, faster, better. So if you don't mind, Ankash, or whomever is running the text, yes, that the Pareto one was the one that caught my eye right at the head, because I thought, okay, one is here, what's being sacrificed? And I saw that both of them were really up there, right, in terms of value added for using Carl. I think that the strongest executive takeaway would be that Databricks is making a serious claim that the agent quality is no longer just this bigger base model problem, that their argument is that tailored synthetic data, for example, in addition to the reinforcement learning, can produce agents that are both cheaper and faster. I thought that the behavior analysis was one of the best parts of the paper. And if you, so basically they just, rather than only showing aggregate benchmark scores, Databricks, they try to explain why reinforcement learning really helps. And if you go to page 59, if you can go quickly over there, if anyone, ends up reading this, that's when they start actually introducing all of their qualitative and quantitative sort of like analyses, but they actually did a really good job in terms of detailing the what, the why, the how. And that was useful. I started even just testing on some other, models, and I found, a little bit of a difference. And yeah, kudos to them. If Carl really is working right now, I think it could solve quite a few problems on a really nice tag and promise.
Okay, so essential from Nina. So essentially what they're focusing on agents, and they are saying if you use RL, reinforcement learning, that you can train these agents much faster and much better than just, and much less expensive than calling the large language models through APIs. So it's a new method of agent training per your industry or per your domain. And it's buried in the 77-page paper. But thanks, Nina, for deciphering this. What did you think, Akash? You're on mute. And Nina, you got a compliment here that Nina is awesome. She trained her. Yeah, trained her well.
Thank you. So is the team here.
Great. So Luda, I was saying that I'm with Nina here. This is an essential read for an AI leader due to the core concept. I think they can use AI models to deduce the key message out of this 77-page paper. But I think this deep research piece is really interesting, because I feel apart from ChatGPT or OpenAI, nobody has been able to solve it that effectively. So if this Carl agent, it can do that effectively in particular industries or particular verticals, then it would be a great addition to anybody's repertoire when they are looking to do this kind of work. So for that reason, I think essential.
John, where were you?
I originally had this as optional. I did just take a quick look at it. I didn't give the deep look that you did, Nina. Yeah, I mean, I think that to the extent, certainly the value engineering part and context management, is going to be critical going forward. And this is a different way to do it, and seems very performative. So yeah, I mean, I could be convinced it's more important or even essential. I mean, if it helps the AI leader really do that value engineering around inference, that's going to be such a critical part of their cost base.
Yeah, I was essential also, but it's 77 pages and it's
Okay.
almost it's a product announcement. So there it might weigh it more into important category. But I think AI leaders need to know that this technique is now available, right? So you could do it versus calling LLMs. Okay, let's put it as essential.
It's from a legitimate vendor and stuff. So if you wanted to, you know, what I mean, it's not. I mean, I think if you take on an open source project or whatever, you're stepping up for different things. You have to do your own, you know, service and so forth. But Databricks, I'm assuming, will support this, and so, you know, that I think puts it in a different category.
Okay, essential it is. We have a lot of essentials already. Okay, last one.
Video engine.
Okay, moving on to the last one. This one comes from LTX, and they have introduced LTX 2.3 video engine.
Yeah, this comes from Israel. It's a very performant model and open source, open weights actually, right? Ankash, what did you think?
I was between important and optional for this one, Luda. You can already see it's everyday miracle, right? But the improvements here are incremental improvements. So they talk about sharper, finer details, tighter prompt adherence. They have done some changes in terms of how they have trained this thing. It has better audio output as well. It performs well on image to video as well. So a lot of great small additions. And one thing I forgot to mention, so this is open source, right? So anybody can download the weights and they can use it on their machine. So you don't need to use APIs for that. So maybe leaning towards important because LTX, I think, is the only player which is providing an open source, open weight video generation model. So might be important for experimentation for marketing leaders and advertisers in general.
And they're competitive with Vio and Sora. So in terms of performance, Nina, what did you think?
I agree with Ankash wholeheartedly. I was thinking about the CMOs especially, and I thought that the strong signal here was buildability. You know.
John.
Yeah, I was going to give it an optional. I mean, it's a great new performance and so forth, but I don't think that important for our AI leader.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's put it as optional. Let's proceed to the scorecard. Any announcements, Nina, John?
No, just that we are, for those who wanted, we have a new resource center that we just put on our website, which lays out our different AI knowledge packs around frameworks, our WINS framework to think about how much Gen AI impacts your business. We have a RISE framework, which gives you an ability to judge your competitive position and your company's competencies. We have another framework we call PRISM, which helps with the selection of different AI projects. So all these resources and more are available in our new resource center at GAIinsights.com. So enjoy.
All right. Nina, anything from you?
No, just thank you. It's always wonderful to join your team here.
It's great to have you
Thank
here.
you for joining. All right.
Thank you for joining.
For today, happy Friday, but we have 3 essentials, 1 important and 2 optionals. Thank you for listening. Thank you for contributing. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.